For we are live. I'm doubling up today. We've got Jared Robin. This guy is an absolute hero when it comes to community. When it comes to audience-led growth, there is only one man on the planet that I know that does it better than me, and that is Jared. Jared, thanks for being here today. How you doing, mate?
James, first off, catching up backstage like warmed my heart, made this last day of October so amazing. I am better today for being here. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is great. Well, look, you're here on the LinkedIn Teardown show, and the purpose of this show is basically to pull up our guest LinkedIn profile, critique it, and then learn about their story and what their focus is, while we teach you as our listeners to improve your LinkedIn and your audience presence. So I'm going to share the screen and let's bring up the profile, and we're going to get straight into this.
This is going to be good because I'm refocusing my LinkedIn a bit, so you'll notice some of the vanity metrics like dipping outside of it being pretty hard on LinkedIn right now. But I know some of your other guests are absolutely crushing it. But
well, look, stop there. Sorry to interrupt you. Let me just give you my first view, and I want to ask questions immediately, because I think you've had that photo of you crouching down for years.
Yeah, she is probably 6-7 years. Like,
what is it? Where was it? Why does it matter to you? Why have you not changed it in 2024?
So I was so tired of typical LinkedIn pictures. I had them. I had more laid back stuff, but at the time there was like a lot of suit and ties. It's funny. It's almost a joke when somebody sends you a connection request with a suit and tie, and you look at what they actually do. They're probably like a financial advisor, like all of them. And so I was in the art scene at the time, working for a company called Portion. It's probably down a little bit. As the head of growth in like blockchain. And we went to an art exhibit, which was Daniel Arsham's exhibit 3018. The year was 2018. And this was like 1,000 years into the future. And he had a DeLorean and he painted and it was cool. So I crouched in front of the DeLorean and I'm like, jokingly, is this picture LinkedIn appropriate? And my boss is like, yeah. As he took the picture, right? The CEO of the company took the picture. I'm like, if my CEO takes it, it's definitely LinkedIn appropriate. And I picked that picture because it was artistic. It aligned with myself, and I really liked it, and it was different. I've since, the backdrop picture I put was kind of a placeholder as I'm in between. I put the full DeLorean from that exact exhibit. I Google imaged it. So that others could see it. It has probably no value for selling anything. It was just something that appealed to me.
Okay, interesting. So a couple of things that stand out to me straight away. Okay, founder of Rev Genius. We'll get into that in a minute. Creative SaaS startup founders leverage audience-led growth to scale faster. What does that mean to a layman?
Yeah, so audience-led growth is this new concept I'm working on with a close friend, Karthi Ranam. Who is over at GTM Partners. And I made a post of this about a day ago. Community is massively potent, but it's kind of increasingly becoming ambiguous for what it means. Like, is it something to sell to? Is it a space to find belonging, which I truly believe it is. Is it groups of learning? Is it selling somebody something? And the answer I rolled on is like if you're in the product, it's got a different meaning than if you're not in. Meaning, is it demand gen or is it customer success? If it's customer success, cool, you already bought. Like there's no ulterior motives, and you could argue. And there's so much nuance behind it, right? Like, and that's why I was saying ambiguity. So like the idea of audience building is giving some sort of content to your prospective ICP and the persona that you want to attract. And it's understood that these people aren't going to lean in unless there's a lot of value. And leaning in meaning like open the emails, click the links, go to the events. And then when you see that, like that engagement, then they might have the need to buy. Like how many people have subscribed to Justin Welch's like newsletter or bought his course early and kind of like read all the free stuff for like months and months. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to buy the $200 course, and it was rad, and you're happy you did. Same thing. But now like it's not just an email list or LinkedIn newsletter. It's also influencers. It's also like community, how some people look at community, but it's creating a captivating audience. And so like the idea of helping creative SaaS founders leverage audience-led growth is like, how can I help them build that audience? Like Rev Genius is part of that for sure. Like people want to come to Rev Genius because our audience, our community has their desired ICP in it. And we do a great job, but it's more than that too, right? Like it's also building the founder brand. Like some of the people like the Sam Jacobs, the Adam Robinsons of the world have done a marvelous job at. And then how that founder evangelizing gets to the team evangelizing, and then let's add community like and newsletters and everything, and just snowballs in a positive way into a movement. So that's kind of like the secret sauce. And
Can I just, because I think we're in a huge like, I don't like you and I have been in this game for a while, especially in the sales martech space, right? But I honestly, I've never been so excited about like the future, and for me that is in a large part due to AI, and not just like reading about it now. Like I've never been a technical person. I'm a sales, but like I'm not a great writer. Like putting a PowerPoint together would take me a week, right? Now with AI, I can do it in nanoseconds. But I think what I'm seeing, and almost what reinforces community in the human and the face, i.e. the founder, is that like trust is really, really important. And the thing is now with text, even with like video or social media and content, like you can't really trust who's written it.
Trust is the moat, mate. It's the moat. With AI, anybody could design anything. You were talking about things that you couldn't do that now you could do. And that tool that they built the AI on is like commoditized GPT-4. And it's becoming easier to build tech. It's becoming harder to go to market with tech, right? Outbound dead? Cold outbound, hot take, is dead. And cold outbound, if you have a list of people and you're just outbounding them to them, like you have to know their mom's middle name and what they like for dinner for them to respond. Like, am I wrong, James?
I mean, this is such. I wasn't expecting. Well, maybe I was. I have this line, right? Like, there's no such thing as cold call, because everyone you call, you hope is alive, so it's a warm call. Like,
that's funny.
That's my tagline. However,
cold outbound is more expensive than ever because of how hard it is.
Yes. Now, look, I completely understand. And all the tech that we promote, and they don't pay me anymore, so I can, the likes of SalesLoft and Outreach have completely murdered the inbox.
Yeah.
Right. And now you add in AI personalization or whatever it is on sequencing, it's even worse. And then you add in Instantly, Smart Lead, great tools. Like, you are absolutely right. Like, the idea that you're suddenly just going to get a meeting off the one like AI generated email is non-existent. However,
and then cold calls coming in, I'd say 70% are marked as spam already.
So my team's having this problem right now with the updates.
Yep.
And like, so however, what's your view on the fact that, for me personally, if you get a good, you're targeting the right ICP,
yep,
you're a smart seller, and you get them on the phone in that 30 seconds, 1 minute, for me, that's still the most powerful thing, is it not? Or do you think that
100%, but the odds of you getting that are shrinking every year. So like at what point does it become inefficient? And because of inefficiency, like in effect, so like I outbound is very much alive. You know who the people, you know, all the people that and this will go full circle, that are getting the most love on like their outbound posts, they have massive followings. They call up and people are like, oh shit, I just saw you on LinkedIn. Huh. I want the motherfuckers, pardon my French, it feels like we could go off the cuff here, who
Yeah, man, this ain't
who
no
aren't on
bullshit.
LinkedIn. I want to hear the people that and by the way, there are plenty of people like rocking out like this. The niche of the go-to-market space is like the most active on LinkedIn. The most, like, you could be cold call like spaces that are like a step or two behind and still crushing it. I'm just saying when you get to the saturation point, it becomes increasingly hard. But you should 100% call. I say cold call. And this goes to audience-led growth, right? Like building that moat. If I call anybody in our community, like 50,000 people community or 47,000 followers, I think it's safe to say there's a better chance of a positive response. I'm not saying 100. Like, I think you'd be silly to think that there wasn't. Like, James, if we hadn't met yet and hadn't done this and I called you or whatever, you'd be like, what took you so long to call me? like, right?
But here's the trick. Okay, like, so I get it because you and I live in that world, right? Like, we can call someone in the network and they're like, they don't say it. They don't go, oh my God, I'm speaking to Jared Robin, right? But in their brain, they're like, this is weird, but I'm talking to him, right? And this happens to me all the time. But come on, we can get onto the debate of like what the future of the SDR is. But if you're an SDR right now with no following, no personal brand, a terrible photo, like, and you're a nobody, how do you get someone to keep them on the phone, mate? Like, what are they doing?
So I think I think you have to be good. Like I think days of the mediocre SDR are becoming numbered. Like, will AI SDRs replace SDRs? I don't think so. Not quickly. Long term, I think we're going to get replaced by everybody. That's a whole nother conversation. But I do think AI SDRs are doing mediocre outbound. So if you do mediocre outbound as a human, you're in trouble because it can be done. But like, I think what's important and what the examples of the people I gave, like Sam Jacobs and Adam Robinson, who've been on here, are doing tremendously, regardless of what the rest of the team is unify the GTM by the founders being evangelists, right? They're evangelizing problems, and they're doing a marvelous job. So what that's doing is that's building out their audience. They're putting out the right content to get like their ICP's eyeballs. And then, hopefully to some extent they're measuring who's engaging and when, and figuring out the overlap of people that might go to their webinars or in-person events, whether it's, Adam Robinson's weekly webinar that he has talking about like his playbook or Sam's GTM event that he just had, which was phenomenal. And they cross-reference and they're like, okay, this person showed up a bunch of times. And then you give that list to an outbound SDR. You just have to call and it's like they're waiting for your call. Like, all I've done is, of course you called. So it's not a matter of if, it's when, like, hey, it's not time, but they're going to be more respectful. They're going to be more everything because full circle that you've gained the trust, and you can gain the trust from, like, in short, to gain trust, you need to give value. Give value sounds cliche, but help them with a challenge that they have that's important enough for them to give you a little bit of time to see if you could do it. Help them with that.
But, okay, here's the thing. You and I massively impact COVID, right? And the events industry. Let's not go over COVID, but where do events, in-person events, play a part looking ahead to 2025 and beyond? versus digital community? And what are you seeing in the US? Because my understanding in the US now, a lot of people want to work from remote and don't want to go anywhere, don't want to leave their house.
No, they do. I think I'm a firm believer that people will go where the event provides them the most value. Okay, period. If you throw an in-person event and it's got shitty content, you might get people that want to get out of the house, but like you shouldn't expect that to perform better just because it's in person than like a killer webinar. Like, let me tell you something. Outside of Rev Genius webinars, I don't sign up for many webinars and I attend even less. Okay. Adam Robinson, and I'll use, because I really like what he's done. His webinar, like after the slides of Pavilion, like I signed up. I blocked out my calendar. Now, I didn't make it for many reasons because founders can't make this shit, but like I was fully prepared to show up in real time online because the value is there. Now, conversely, HubSpot, love them, use them. They're phenomenal, love their brand, everything about it. I had an in-person event in New York today at a great location for founders only. I'm a founder. And I really wanted to meet somebody there, but it was harder for me to go during the workday today. And I blocked that off too. And I would have went to both. But the virtual during the workday became easier, and in person. And by the way, it was a phenomenal in-person event. That's on me. But if it was just like an average one, so taking a step back, it's like literally like how much value can you provide with each, I think is the true answer. And yes, virtual ones, you probably need to provide more value relatively than in person, because in person there's value to having the right people there.
Right.
So in person, you need to curate the right people there, and that'll help overcome the right content, because virtual, it's all content. It's not really people. It's like, never have you said in a virtual conference, like, oh, I met this fucking all-star. During COVID, you said that. Right now, you're not saying that so much. You say that in person. So I do think it's relatively harder virtually, because people give you more leeway, but like good content's good content. Like if you're helping, I truly.
Okay, interesting point. So just coming back to LinkedIn tactics, I see this a lot, the newsletter landing page capture, right? And you put it here in a link here. I've never cracked the newsletter game. So tell me, is this effective? How do you use it? What's in the newsletter? What value do you give? What would you like to improve? Like, just share a little bit about this what this is.
So this newsletter, because I haven't actually sent it in the last 6 months, is a faux pas, like me having it there and centered and everything. And thank you for calling this out. It was effective when I was regularly sending. I'd have like 50% open rate, like 1 or 2% click-through rate. I grew to 4,000 subscribers in about 6 months. So it's not like hyper growth, but pretty fast. Here's why it was awesome. It was awesome because I got to write a little more long form. I got to interview people. I didn't have a podcast at the time. So like this was that. And I was able to like satisfy my itch, and like also an itch of my point of view, like outside, like LinkedIn, often I make it more concise, more formatted a certain way. But here I was just like unpacking playbooks. Like this is Clay's audience-led playbook. This is Hockey Stack's playbook. This is Common Room's playbook. And that was really exciting. And it also helped me build like even better relationships with brands and founders that I'm featuring, right? Because like whenever you do something solid or you offer something to them, that's quite valuable when you have a following, and that's interesting. So overall, and then from like a monetization standpoint, I was able to have brands come to me that wanted to work with me directly. It wasn't necessarily inbound for Rev Genius because it was a different type of client, more of somebody looking for creators than full sponsors, although there was some overlap. But those conversations were great, and it gave my media more value than just like a post on LinkedIn, to have it here too. And what really turned me on to newsletters was one comment from the head of sales that works at Marketing Examined. Alex Garcia runs that. He was a marketing manager at The Hustle. We all know and love that. And he right after was like the VP of marketing at Gumroad. The guy's an all-star. His head of sales, because I'm like, yeah, newsletters, like it's kind of hype, whatever. He made one comment that just got me all in. He goes, Jared, when somebody receives and opens, when somebody opens your newsletter, let's not say that it's like just when somebody opens your newsletter, that's the most intimate experience you could have digitally with somebody. And I'm like, wow, that aligns with community and everything I'm going for. Like, that was so poetic. Let me double click on that and go in. So yeah, and then how'd I grow it? Did I have some growth hacking secret sauce stuff that I do, but I essentially ask friends, and my first 100 people, I literally texted like 150 people and got 100.
Well, tell me just on the like, what's the frequency? So I see the extremes, right? Like I think my newsletter goes out to like 20,000 plus kind of UK
Awesome.
and kind of European salespeople, sales leaders. But I tend to do it once a week on a Friday. It has an okay open rate, not a terrible click rate, and I'm not creative. We don't put any thought into this. Is bad to admit it, but I need to change it. I know everyone, but you keep opening it. But what is the frequency in your opinion? Like, what's a really good newsletter in your opinion as well? What should be included? How does it look, etc.
Yeah. So the frequency shouldn't be any less than once a week. Once a month or every other week newsletter starts going into that forgettable zone, and you haven't built the habit. Once a week feels right. The people with the daily newsletters, there needs to be a reason to send it every day. Morning Brew has a clear reason, right? They have unique content every day. I like Morning Brew because I like Alex Lieberman. I think he's a G. I think he's phenomenal. And like knowing him a little bit, and he spoke at RevCon and stuff. Like, this guy's really smart. And I love the output there. The Hustle speaks to me a lot. But a cool newsletter that I loved is Big Desk Energy by Tyler Denk. Okay. The reason why I like this is he's a founder just like me, and he helps. Yeah, Morning Brew is awesome. But Big Desk Energy is like a founder building right now. He's got like a playlist. He's the founder of Beehive.
What's Beehive? What's Beehive?
Beehive's a newsletter platform. They're super fast growing. Check this out. Check out his UI here. It's like super interesting. It's like so old school. He's completely customized the Beehive CMS. Which hit enter to log in.
Oh no! How funny was that? I'm clicking it and it told me to click enter.
How cool is this? Oh shit! Go into Don't Kill the Messenger shirt. I got to get one of those. That's actually pretty cool. So he's got like swag that's actually decent. I hate company swag. I think most of it is cliche and stupid, but like he's built a little bit of brand here. What I love the most about this though, and you should definitely subscribe. I love the content. Let's say that the content alone puts him in the top 10% of my favorite newsletters, and it does, and it might be the top 5. But his orchestration of audience-led growth is epic. He's the founder sending this. The company obviously has their own. He does paid ads behind this to get more subscribers, optimal subscribers that could potentially be users. So he's very targeted. And
this is such a funny UI,
dude. He they're already at like 12 million ARR in like 18 months. And they just raised like a 40 million Series B. They'll be a unicorn. They're fucking amazing. And they have community of users. They have a really good Twitter following, and they built their brand there. They're starting to dabble in LinkedIn. And he has this newsletter. So I love their audience-led orchestration with everything, probably as much as any brand. So the newsletter, top 5%, maybe even top 1%. But how they use it to grow the Beehive brand is a lesson for all early stage founders.
Okay.
Big
So,
one.
mate, I can't believe I could actually speak to you for hours, and we need to have a proper catch up. But we're coming up like to the latest stages of this, and I just want to bring it back to the LinkedIn teardown for a moment.
Yeah, please.
What is your vision for your LinkedIn for 2025? Like what do you want LinkedIn to be for you? Where are you taking it? What kind of strategy or tactics are you using?
Yeah, so I just did like a 30-day video challenge to test video. By the way, everyone should just, if your cell phone has half decent video, you have an iPhone above the number 10.
It's funny you're doing a 30-day. I'm on a 100-day challenge, but I got
posting. Oh, we did 30-day videos for 30 days in a row.
Yeah, well, you do one every day.
A video every day for 30 days. It was insane. You see a couple of them there. Yeah, there you go.
Well, tell us something about what's going on here. What are you talking about? What's interesting?
Oh, there's a hook. There's under 90 seconds. I mean, there's vast majority are under 2 minutes, and some of them just took off. So it's like testing it out.
Sorry,
I went from like, hey, like just some thoughts on my walk that could potentially help, to being more structured, like a few things, hook, a few things that could help you do whatever that I found. An example, I've tested storytelling as well. What's this one say?
5 out of 15 founders in our group have hit 1 million impressions.
How crazy is that? How insane is that?
Well, who is this group, and how do people get into this group?
So it was called Video 30. Now it's called Audience 30, because like we realized like this is part of the equation, and this speaks to like tactics versus overall strategy. Just send me a DM. That's a free group. I'm going to later create a paid group just for SaaS founders, but like super exclusive, all of that. My strategy for 2025 is going to be a better version of what should have been my strategy throughout. Like it's going to be more of a crystallization, picking a point of view, having a distinct take on why that's different and why it needs to be, like from what people are doing now, and targeting early stage startup founders in particular with that. And so that's my LinkedIn strategy. And then also having a much better, right now I'm working on some early podcast episodes that are super aligned with that. And bring folks to like the Reimagine newsletter / podcast. The podcast will be distributed through the newsletter.
That's very cool. So you're on this basically more focused mission around audience-led growth for founders of early stage hypergrowth tech companies.
Exactly. Creative founders. And I use the word creative because like if you're not willing to create content, you're probably not creative. So I don't want to push people that aren't creative to join or to like join the movement. I don't want to push people outside their comfort zones. B2B people tend to be a certain way.
It's true. That's a good. I think we should go down. I don't know what's everybody on the screen, but I've got a lag. No,
have long hair in B2B.
Well, okay. Here's the thing, right? This is what I've always said. It's human to human.
Yeah.
Okay. How though in B2B do we become so dry, so boring, so repetitive, so uncreative lack disruption versus, consumer-led growth apps or consumer creators? What is it?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, because of all that is why I came in, because I came from the other side, more creative, having run a magazine as a side project, a really creative supporter and like friend group. I'm like, holy shit, this is not creative, and it needs to be, and it needs to be connected. And it's funny, I made a post the other day. Like, remember, people are like, oh, all of those B2C tactics won't work in B2B. They won't work. There's different ACVs. There's different deal cycles. There's different excuse. Instead of saying why can't it work? And by the way, doing a newsletter on LinkedIn, like that's all organic. Like that 7,000 or 8,000, like LinkedIn helps push that. Definitely test that.
Just on that, because I'm curious, because this is why I love the newsletter. And I think it's being underutilized, because that newsletter gets sent out by an email. But can you extract that data of people that have subscribed to your LinkedIn newsletter?
So the answer is not through LinkedIn.
Okay. Wink, wink.
But
there is a way.
I suspect anywhere that you could see the data, and I think you could see it, you just can't export it. Anything you could see, you could scrape, right?
I'm just going to look at my one. And actually, because I've obviously spent 40 minutes tearing you down. I'd love to hear what your immediate reaction, brutal, on what you see or what you don't see actually on my profile, and how I could change or improve it.
I see the most handsome man in the conversation, first and foremost. Like, it all depends on what you want to attract. So, like, a unified vision, right? Like, I think that's key. So I know you have Sales Confidence, a tremendous community platform that throws amazing events with great sponsors. I now see hiring SDRs and salespeople for sales leaders. Is that part of it, or is that separate? That's my first question. Sales acceleration using AI plus humans for GTM growth. Is that part of that, or is that separate? And the bigger, and then we have the show, right? Like, and I think every one of your things is phenomenal, first and foremost. I think the gap, if you take a step back, is how can you align all of it with a simple message? Okay? And then if it feels awkward, which direction feels best? And by feels is making most money, or giving you the most interest, or giving you the most passion, right? Like, we forget that in B2B, like passion counts for something. Like, what do you feel the best about? Is there a way to group it all together? And if you do, is it the same ICP? And I think the goal is to unify, right? Like, because I build a community, but I like all this other stuff. But like audience-led growth, I'm showing how I'm in the process of showing how community fits into that, how like all this other stuff fits into that. The collab is going to change its name to something more aligned with audience in it. Rev Genius benefits, because frankly, when I speak to sponsors, they want to leverage Rev Genius's audience. That they pay us to be in front of the right audience. So like, is audience community semantics? It depends who you ask. But I think I'm like unifying everything, not like, hey, I have this hiring or that. No. I'm here to help founders grow their companies, because like, and really GTM leaders as well. But I'm testing niching down even more just to.
This is it. But this is the difficult thing, right? Because I don't, GTM is very American.
Yeah.
Right. It's like even revenue, and I'm just a sales guy that wants to sell stuff, and I want to talk to salespeople and sales leads. But actually, it takes a team to grow revenue, which is marketing. It's customer success. But I don't really speak to that. Like, how are you going to do that?
So how I do that is right around seed to Series A, the founders do fucking everything, right? What if I talk to the marketing team? That's the founder. Founder-led growth. So focusing on the founders is at that stage, it really gets the brands off to a good start. And then I'd say a good portion of our deal flow, like our ICP, is like a Series A founder, to be honest, from seed to B. But Series A is like that sweet spot where the company has a bit of money, they got to scale, and they need help from our community, right? Like they don't have like that many resources. Maybe they have a head of marketing, but the founder's still involved, right? Like, so that person I want to make as powerful as possible to empower that head of marketing if they have them, to be a good running mate. If they don't have them, they need that power, and help them in many ways, like leverage RevGenius to grow their brand. And we signed some phenomenal Series A companies this month, and we've worked with some phenomenal ones, and we're going to work with some more. I'm really amped. And our next list, right? Like our next list, when I do the next 50, it's all seed and Series A startups. So like everything is looking to the future because these are the people disrupting everything. They're the most interesting to me, but they're the most interesting to the world because even the big enterprise companies, and tech or not, that buy tech, like these are the companies disrupting the outreaches and the sales lofts of the world, who are spectacular companies in their own right. I love them. These are the future companies that they buy. I don't know if I could talk about like a company I advised, like was like a seed company. They just had a great exit. So like the big companies that are buying them need to see it too. So why not show like the newest, the coolest, the greatest?
Well, that now I see what you're saying actually, because
I get it all together, and that starts with the founder. So like I'm friends with the founders, and I am a founder, and I empathize with that.
But you know what? I think just
7-year-old bald white dude that's a CRO. Like
do you know what's interesting on this point? Like there's so many other topics we could like. We haven't really got into AI. I've just pulled up ChatGPT because I was asking it some questions, and this is how many Series A companies. But like just as we're wrapping up, I feel the same. Like I've wanted to educate sales, but I'm a founder. Like it's a different mentality. I love career salespeople. I love career marketeers, but a founder's pain is so different, and you only get that if you're a founder.
Yep, and it's the only persona in the company that you could, if you impact that person positively at the right time in their journey, you could change the whole trajectory of their journey. You can't say that about a sales leader always, right?
All right, mate. Look, I'm wary of time. What's your parting inspiration or thought to wrap up this conversation today, which has been brilliant, by the way.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate everybody watching. And James, like, if this journey has taught me anything, and if seeing like what's the most potent has taught me anything, it's that friendships and to your point, human to human is everything. So no matter what you do, one-to-one to start, like learn what your people want in your audience as you build it. Like literally ask them, like, did you like that? Or can you check this out? Do me a favor. Eventually they'll say yes because they'll gain trust in it. And then write one-to-many, just like that. Build community, like everybody's your best friend or could be. Empathize with the people you serve, and solve problems and be different in a beneficial way.
Well, listen, Jared, it's an absolute pleasure. Everybody listening to this, go check out Jared Robin on LinkedIn. Just as you've been watching the LinkedIn Teardown with myself, James Skeen, and Jared Robin today. If you found this interesting or you want to see someone else, put them in the comments and we can see if we can get them on the show. Jared, I'd love maybe to pay it forward 2 introductions to 2 founders you think I should get on here that would add some value. I'm
gonna get Carthy on next, the person alongside me in this journey of audience-led growth. she will blow your mind.
Okay, so look, everybody, have a great day. Hang back there a moment, Jared. We're going to end the show.